you'll be able, the dissecting scope, you can see a little bit, you can farther away and you see more of the image all at once. What is this organ that we're looking at here?
Spinal cord?
Yeah, this is spinal cord. Okay, nervous system organ. And so if you scan, okay, I see a space right here. What's that opening, that circular?
Central canal.
That's the central canal. Yeah, and so if we look there and we see this, and then we compare and go to the other side. Okay, what looks like more of a space or groove?
That's the anterior.
Fissure. Yeah, this one here, so this must be the anterior side, because here's the fissure. It's a little separated apart right there. Just happens in these sections, things sometimes fall apart. Out here, this, somebody called this, what's somebody called that? The floating layer. This is what? Yeah, that's the duramater. Yeah, duramater. Okay, the arachnoid kind of fell apart. The pia mater is this one that's right on top of the spinal cord. I know on your list it just said spinal meninges, but I wanted to at least show you the duramater. Okay, so let's do the hard stuff first. Okay, so out here, so I went lateral, and so there's this large sort of circular thing, and it's connected to these.
So it's a dorsal root.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so we said this was anterior. So if I go back, okay, there's my posterior median sulcus right there, and I go lateral from there. Okay, the connection is a little messy right there, a little bit breaking off right there, but here you can see the what? What is that nerve? Somebody said it. This nerve right here.
Dorsal root.
That's the dorsal root. Yeah. That's the dorsal root. Yes, it is connected. These are the axons. It is connected over here to the white matter, though it doesn't look too good. It does connect. Okay, so then here's the dorsal root. That's the nerve with all the axons. Okay, and then that is going to be connected to the cell bodies. So this is what? What's this whole structure?
The dorsal root ganglion.
Ganglion, yeah, dorsal root ganglion. That's the dorsal root ganglion. So that's a specific name for that ganglion. There's other ganglia in the body, okay, other than just the dorsal root one. You have lots of these. This is called the dorsal root ganglion. And those are all the little somas. See, so that's the cell body of the neuron, and its axon is over here. Right? So it's connected. And it's a transition, so you do see some axons, stretching in there. Okay, and so then coming out over here would be the other side of that dorsal root. And what's happening over here on this side? That's probably the ventral root. It's a little messy. It's probably the ventral root. It seems to have kind of broken away from its connection to the spinal cord over here, and then it's coming together over here. That one's a little iffy. But we can definitely see the dorsal root ganglion and the dorsal root right there. Okay, let's look over here now. All right, is this gray matter or white matter?
White.
Good, and what's the dominant structure in there? What is that?
Myelination.
Myelinated axons, yeah. Okay, and then this is gray matter. And in here is lots of neuroglial cells, and what's the other dominant structure in there? Somas, yeah. So lots of neuroglia and lots of somas. So if you looked in there, you may have just saw what looked like a web of stuff. That's the neuroglial cells along with it, and then the somas are in there too. Okay, so you need to know the different horns. Okay, so how about this here?
The anterior gray horn.
Anterior or ventral gray horn, same thing. Anterior gray horn, you happen to call it ventral, that's fine. And the lateral gray horns sometimes are pretty tricky to discern, but it comes out a little bit right here. So here's the lateral gray horn here. And then back here, what do you got right here?
The posterior gray horn.
Posterior gray horn, good. And then there's the two
Commissure.
gray commissures. So this one is what? What's this one?
Anterior.
Anterior gray commissure, posterior gray commissure. Yeah, so usually gray matter is the somas and the neuroglial cells, but sometimes there's some axons in there, but not so many. Okay, so yeah, this is crossing over of axons to communicate with the other side of the spinal cord. But in general, you want to think of gray matter, somas, and neuroglial cells. Maybe some unmyelinated axons, but mostly somas and neuroglial cells. Okay, so there's your gray matter. We did that, and then now we need to do the white matter. Okay, which is comprised of those tracks. Tracks are grouped into columns. Okay, so this big column back here, we're on the posterior side. What's all this?
Posterior white column.
Posterior white column. Good. Is that a ascending tract or a descending tract?
Ascending.
Remember the wave? Is that an ascending tract or a descending tract?
Ascending.
Ascending. Good. That's ascending tracts. Is that carrying afferent information or efferent information?
Afferent.
Afferent. Is that carrying sensory information or motor information?
Sensory.
Sensory. Yay. Okay, so then this, I moved over here laterally to the central canal. And so what's this mass of white matter called?
Lateral white column.
Lateral white column. Good. And then what's in between here? What's this mass of white matter?
The anterior white column.
Anterior white column. Good. Is this motor or sensory?
Motor.
Motor. Is this an ascending tract or descending tracts?
Descending.
Descending tracts. Good. You're getting it. And remember the lateral was pretty much split right in half there. Okay. And then a little trickier. What about the gray horns? Let's start with the easy one. Posterior gray horn. Okay. Remember the wave. Is this a sensory or motor stomas in there?
Sensory.
Those are sensory. Good. Okay. A little trickier over here on this side because of the lateral gray horn. It makes it a little less clear. Okay. What about the anterior gray horn? Is that sensory or motor?
Motor.
That's motor. And then the lateral, which side are we going to group that with?
Motor.
Yeah, it's motor. You're going to group that with the anterior. Remember I said the anterior and lateral are motor, which was my aunt's like meat, but then everybody kept mixing it up with the white matter. So don't mix that up with the white matter. Okay, white matter is a little more straightforward. This is the one that has a little extra part. Okay, so anterior gray horn and lateral gray horn are motor. All right, let's look at the list. What else do I need to cover on there? I think that was it.